Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Texans Probe. Today, of course, we're back with Drew. Today, we're going to kind of go through some of the Texans and Colts game. We're going to go through the offense mainly, kind of go through the pressures and different good throws from Stroud under pressure. But again, there was way too much pressure on Stroud this game. I believe his pressure rate in the first half was like 70%, and then second half it ended up being around like 56. But just way too much pressure. We'll get into that. And I'm not going to talk much about the defense. We'll just talk about it before we go through film. The defense has been very good almost every week, and they're consistently getting pressure. They're getting sacks now. They're forcing turnovers. Drew, anything you want to add about the defense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the statistics on it, but is there a better team depending or defending the pass right now? At this point, it just feels like the completion percentage is as low as I've ever seen it in
Yeah,
Texans
it's
history.
crazy.
I'm sure that franchise record will be set this year, just because you have the Josh Allen game, you have the Anthony Richardson game in terms of completion percentage. The pressure is consistently getting there. I no problems with the linebacker play. I will say that the Devin White signing makes a lot more sense because what they did is they just utilized him as a blitzing linebacker, which I
Yeah,
didn't think about because if you just look at it in terms of traits, Devin White is he's a good blitzing linebacker. And he's
yeah,
definitely objectively
yep.
better at that than Jake Hansen, maybe even Toa Toa when he gets there, and then obviously Neville Hewitt. So that's nice. And I was thinking, okay, so that's more rest for the other guys. They're going to be fresh. You get to utilize Devin White, something that he's good at, something that he's comfortable with. So even when everyone's healthy, Devin White still might be a good asset in terms of blitzing. And so props to Nick Sarah for doing that because that's just and D'Amico Ryan's. It's just something I didn't really think about, and I like it. And then Kamari, he had a good game. What'd you think about Stingley though?
Honestly, thought he got kind of lucky on a couple of plays. That was kind of my takeaway was that I thought he got lucky. He played well, don't get me wrong. But I think overall as a secondary, I'm kind of just getting to a point where I think you have to accept that there's gonna be like 1 to 2 plays a game where they're gonna get beat deep, but they're going to be really good the rest of the game. It's kind of Tamari's the exact same way. He's going to have a couple plays where like he gets beat deep, and Petrie did it too. Uh, but the Texans secondary is playing aggressively this year compared to how they did last year, where it was more conservative because they're more healthy, which I have no issue with. I'm okay with giving up these deep balls, but you feel more comfortable playing man, and you can send more pressure. I'm completely cool with how they're playing. Kamari was had I think Kamari had his best game yesterday,
Yeah,
or not yesterday, last week. I think that was his best game in the NFL. And I also
I
thought
think
Eric
so because the
Murray,
other games were like he just made often mistakes in terms of leverage and stuff like that. I really see he was really sticky, and then you saw him pop on that screenplay too. That's why the Texans got Kamari last year because the drop off from that to Steven Nelson and how they play the run and how they play screen passes is crazy, and that's just an asset that you don't get from many players, and so that's why I like Kamari Lassiter coming from Georgia,
I did
and
too.
then obviously coverage wise it was a little shaky, but it was just much more fluid. I think that's really all you can ask for because then obviously he has those other skill sets, high motor, physical player, great tackler. And, he had the tackling mistake in the other game, but still, he's going to make plays. And then Eric Murray. Eric Murray flew
Yeah, that was
around
good.
after a really bad game against the Packers. He flew around at three pass deflections, and it was eye popping. Like I was there. I'm like, Eric Murray he's flying around. He's making plays. That's all you can really ask for. Again, we talked about the D'Amico Ryan scheme. It could be a product of that, but still, why can we sit here and consistently hate on Eric Murray when he's just making plays and doing his job?
Yep. And I actually was going to get into that because since we were talking about Eric Murray, it reminded me of the trade talk. Now, with Stephon Diggs out for the year, I wanted to just kind of throw out there. Let's see if I can let me log into my. Actually, I should be posted. I'll go ahead and share my screen. But I posted this earlier. There was some news coming out about potential Texans trade talk. Um, Here we go. So this is from ESPN this morning. So the Texans, they've been apparently poking around at the receiver position. Some guys, Darius Slayton, Kendrick Bourne, KJ Osborne, Jacoby Myers, some guys like that. Um, And also in this was they were talked about how an under radar trade candidate could be Kenyon Green. Um, don't know who the hell would trade for Kenyon Green, but if you could get anything for Kenyon Green at this point, that would be a success. And they did bring up Nate Davis as a potential guard that could get moved. And that's actually an interesting name because while he's been kind of up and down, he was good in Tennessee. He's been pretty inconsistent in Chicago, but is it clearly an upgraded guard over Kenyon Green? So, and he's been a healthy and active for the Bears these last couple of weeks. So that could be a name to watch as the Texans kind of move towards the deadline and these receiver names. So, anything you want to add about that, Drew? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't really think about Nate Davis. I agree. I did like how he played in Tennessee. I was definitely he was definitely someone I originally back way back when that one the Texans look at for guard. But obviously, I'm just gonna stick with Jared Patterson here. I like Jared Patterson more
I
than
like it too. Yeah,
Juice Scruggs coming out of college in the first place, and but moving Patterson to guard is just fine because if I know he's only in there for what 4, 5 or maybe 5 snaps. But I watched those, and what you get from him is consistency, some fluidity. He is going to be prone to power sometimes. But really the important thing is that he's not going to be an erratic player, not a clumsy player. He's going to be a fundamentally sound player. And what we'll see today is that Kenyon Green is just lacking the fundamentals too. And making hand placements that doesn't make sense. There was a lot of head ducking against the Colts, which is something that you have to tell them to not to do. So that makes me wonder a little bit about the offensive line coach. But also, you don't really see it from any other linemen. So it's a
it's
weird
just a Kenyon
situation because
issue.
you just got to stop doing it. You got to stop doing it. But Jarrett Patterson is definitely someone who I hope can just come back for the Lions game. Really, at this point, I understand people wanting to trade for a guard. I understand people wanting to trade for a receiver. I would say I would want Jacoby Myers out of all those
Yeah,
guys. But for me, it's like, when you get Nico back, you're going to put him in the slot because he's just a monster as a big slot. Tank Dell can run from the outside. He proved that last week against the Colts. We can look at some of that too. I really like the way he runs his routes and the timing that he has there. And then maybe Darius Slayton. I would say Darius Slayton, to me, as someone who watches the Giants a lot, because of my family. Darius Slayton is a deep threat. He's got great speed and he's got a great ability to win deep, but he has inconsistent hands.
yeah.
Very, very clumsy hands, and it gets frustrating to watch sometimes. But if you can put Darius Slayton on the outside, you get more speed from him than you would get from Mechie and Hutchinson and Woods. So that's really why I would say Slayton. And then I guess Kendrick Bourne could be a possibility just because Slowick and D'Amico Ryan's in
From
San
San
Francisco.
Francisco.
That's
Yep.
going to be fair take swap. It's not going to cost you
Yeah. No, it wouldn't
anything.
cost much at all.
Maybe
Um,
it would cost you something for Slayton just because of
yeah.
they only have neighbors there too. Wandale has to be in the slot. They're in New York. So, but other than that, I really want Hutchinson and Mechie to get their chance. Just that's it. That's why you drafted them. They're young. That you need to see what you have in them.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting week because while everyone's kind of talking about, making a move at receiver, I kind of do want to get this game to see what you got in these receivers because they're going to
We
have a ton of
will.
opportunities.
Yeah.
And honestly, like at the end of the day, if you lose because these guys are out, I'm not going to be too upset about it. And we were actually talking about this pre-episode about how the Jets are favored. I don't really have an issue with the Jets being favored in this game because of the injuries for the Texans, but I also think it's a good week to figure out. Okay, you got Mechie playing the slot, and you got Hutchinson, Woods on the outside for the most part, or Woods playing in a slot too with Mechie, obviously Tank. They're going to get chances in this game to go out and make plays, and so if they make the plays, you probably want to make a move at receiver. But if they don't make the plays, then you look at Slayton, you look at these guys, because I do think Slayton's an interesting name because he is a free agent after this year. It probably wouldn't cost you much to go get Slayton if that's who you wanted. And Jacoby Myers is honestly a really good player. I've liked Jacoby Myers for a while.
Wanted
And
this guy on the team 4 years ago, but I mean, I
yeah,
don't
and
know
I
now,
believe,
but yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe Casario was part of drafting him in New
Yeah, of
England.
course he was. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So that could be an interesting name
Yeah.
if the Raiders were to move off of him. And I've liked Jacoby Myers. I think he fit in well. Um, but I think it's a good week to see what you have at receiver against a pretty good secondary. And the Jets, you get Tank, obviously, and then you're probably going to run a lot of two tight ends, but you're also going to get to see all these receivers.
Yeah. A couple things to mention about receivers is one thing when you look at the archetype about a receiver is it can really be anyone because the Texans run so many condensed formations. If you're running bunch, tight slots, close sets like that, you can be a slot receiver, a designated slot receiver, and come to this offense, and you're just gonna play there every single time because being in a condensed set is exactly like being just a true slot receiver in a spread offense. So it's really the same thing there. And then in terms of the Jets game, we saw how it went last year, and they just ran man coverage, and then no one got open. I remember thinking really bad things about Noah Brown, and because the truth is Noah Brown cannot separate in short and intermediate areas, so he wouldn't help in that regard. Noah Brown actually, I know you said he was kind of in the Diggs role, but I think Noah Brown is kind of being utilized or was utilized how you see Nico now, and where Nico's chunk of yardage is in the 10 plus area. So I would say an ideal replacement for Diggs is just Mechie. Because if you want a crafty route
Yeah.
runner and someone that can get yards after the catch and be explosive, I think that is John Mechie, and then maybe I guess Jacoby Myers. That's really all I can think of. But yeah, this is definitely a prove it game because the Jets can literally go and do what they did last year, and then we'll see what happens. I hope they play a ton of man coverage because I just want to see.
And it should be interesting because last year you did it without Tank either, which like I know people have been disappointed in Tank. I've been a little bit disappointed in Tank,
Man,
but I
Tank was
also
open,
think,
yes, or Tank was open
yeah,
on
that's
Sunday.
what I was gonna say. I thought Indy was one of his better games. I think he's been good the last couple of weeks
He's been
outside of
open,
the Green
yeah.
Bay game. The Green Bay game was rough. Like I will admit that, but it was rough for everybody. He has been getting open, and especially if they're gonna play a lot of man, he's a man separator. I've talked about this. Again, when they're playing two deep safeties and other things, he becomes yet less useful. When they play man, that's when Tank shines. That's the best Tank looks. And this is a way for Tank and Stroud to kind of get some chemistry back because it feels like they've been off a little bit. So this is kind of a good way. You're gonna have to force Tank targets because I mean you don't have anybody else that you can like 100% know is going to get open consistently. So he's going to get a lot of targets, obviously. And I do think Xavier Hutchinson's made some really good plays these last 2 weeks. I know it's been like two catches, but they both been really good plays. The catch that he made this week on whatever second down, third down it was, that was a really tough catch
Yeah,
that he
it
made.
was, it was a diving
So
catch. It was a good ball from Stroud. And the thing about Hutchinson is, it's like I'm stuck on his route running a little bit. I don't love it. I feel like he takes a couple extra steps as where you see like Tank or Diggs or even Collins when he's back. We'll see more of it. They just glide right into space. It's so seamless, effortlessly. You're really never gonna get that from Hutchinson. So, to me, he's kind of like a Woods light with a little bit more long speed. He's a physical guy. But
yeah,
he's just missing a little bit of twitch, and so that's why I really want to see John Mechie, but
yeah,
Hutchinson
yeah, yeah.
he can make catches and tough
Well, I think
catches.
I think I think most people would agree that John Mechie's the more talented receiver. Like just when you look at it on paper, he's a better route runner. He's got the twitch. He's got adequate size to play the position. Like he's got everything you want in a receiver when you look at that. And I love this film at Alabama. I was a huge Mechie fan when we drafted him. It just hasn't panned out because they've had receivers and he had the cancer issue. So there's just been a lot that hasn't gone Mechie's way. But he's got a chance now. He's got his chance. He's gonna play a lot, and you're gonna get to see what he has because I'm interested to see what he has. And I do think potentially if he plays well, then you don't need to worry about getting a third receiver next year because he's your guy to play that slot role
Yeah,
that
that's what
Diggs
you
is
want.
potentially so. So ideally, Mechie just slides into that role, but we're gonna have to see how he plays because
Yeah.
I am interested to see. I do like him as a receiver, and I like this. Like I said, I like this film at Bama a lot, but I haven't seen it in the NFL. So it's an interesting game that I'm really excited to watch to see what happens.
Yet that being said, I think that we saw so much 12 personnel even last week with Diggs in and then with Diggs out. You might
Could
just
be a
see a
lot
lot
with
of
20.
Woods and Hutchinson as that second receiver. They're plus assets as blockers too. And hopefully, and the Texans are probably hoping that they don't have to air it out anyways because Mixon has been getting so
Yeah.
many yards. It's just absolutely crazy. He even has like multiple negative carries a game, but then he just keeps popping in, popping in, popping in.
Yep.
It's great to see. Also having a good, even a good third receiver is sometimes a luxury. But the Texans already they have a good wide receiver 4 and wide receiver 5. But obviously, we've seen the trade market, and it has just been so easy to make these trades for the receivers that it's like, all right, why not? The really important thing is to see what they need to do in the offseason and how badly they want Diggs back. I would want Diggs back because of his leadership and his energy at this point. Sign him to a 2-year deal and call it a day.
Yep. I honestly I think this probably increases the likelihood that Diggs comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So, which I'm not. I don't dislike. I thought Diggs was good here. But it will be interesting to see how this offense plays this week because next week you get Nico back. You get you're going to get a lot of guys back. You'll probably have Jarrett Patterson starting at left guard. Like that's going to be the best offense that we will have the rest of the year more than likely. With Jarrett Patterson at left guard, Nico at receiver, and whatever you do at the deadline plugged in if you do anything, right? But um,
That's the
but that's there. And this week is kind of a test week because Kenyon Green's apparently starting at left guard. I wish it was Kendrick, but um, he's got another week to do something. I don't think it's going to go well. For the record, I'm not optimistic about this. It's probably not going to go well. He's just gotten progressively worse, but um, he's starting again. So it's a big prove it week for kind of everybody, and everybody on the offense outside of Stroud and Nixon. Go prove yourself, right? I mean that's kind of where we're at this point. So um,
good thing. So
it'll be a fun game.
they did say they would consider. They
Mhm.
considered Kendrick Green, so that could also just mean that
Just
they'll
switch him.
happily throw him in when Kenyon makes a mistake, and it's
Yeah,
not necessarily like okay, this is your last chance. You're playing the whole game, and if you suck, you suck. No, if he sucks it up, like
yeah, just take him
because
out. Yeah,
the drive before Kenyon was bad. The drive before Kenyon got benched, he did not play well that drive. So
they
if he
just
has
yep,
another drive like that,
yep,
then they will
yep,
take him out and put Kendrick Green in. So if it happens, it
yep.
happens. Hopefully
And
they just do it and just
yeah, don't
see what
even think
happens.
about it. Yeah,
Don't
because
think about
honestly, I think I'm pretty confident when Jarrett Patterson comes back, he's going to be the left guard. I thought
it.
I think
I hope so, but I don't know.
yeah, I don't
D'Amico's
know.
weird with
Yeah,
that stuff. I also think it's kind of on Slowick too to decide that, or maybe the O-line coach to decide that too. Because what does D'Amico Ryans know about offensive line play at this point? Because his comments in the press conference are just kind of weird about Kenyon in the first place,
yeah,
saying that he's made some good plays. People want to talk about the negatives. Well, when you have more negatives than positives, there's no reason to keep that player on the field. I can
yeah.
count more negatives than positives, and I'm sorry, but it's true. So that doesn't make sense to say that when there are more negatives, not more positives.
Yeah. Offensive line, like when you're talking about offensive line positive, for the most part, it's like if you have a good pass protection rep, that's kind of what your job is. You're not like unless you're like completely
It's not a
pancakings someone,
highlight.
that's not like a highlight. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do. And so when you give up six pressures and a sack, and at halftime your PFF blocking grade is a 4.5, there's some problems
Oh
here.
my God.
Yeah, I checked right before half. I actually posted it because it was hilarious. It was a 7, and then it went down to a 4.5
Oh
because he gave
no.
another pressure on the tank touchdown. So so he was brutal.
Well, that
Like
wasn't that much of a pressure on the tank touchdown, but
yeah.
okay.
It's just because when it gets that low, they kind of just start like, I mean, you're grasping at straws here anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so but like, and the problem is that he's not a good run blocker either. He whiffs in the run game a ton. Like he's just a bad. He was the worst left guard in football in his rookie year. He's the worst left guard in football currently. So at some point, someone's got to change. And and we talk about where I just said where I think Jarrett Patterson to be the starter. I think at some point it's probably going to be Jarrett Patterson or Kendrick Green. I don't think it's going to be Kenyon. Because if they go to Kendrick and he looks good, they may just stick with him because the continuity fact of it. But if neither of them look good, then it may just be back to Patterson. But I have a hard time believing that because I don't think Kenyon's going to play well. I have a hard time believing you're going to stick with Kenyon and just ride it out because at this point he's gotten so much criticism, and even like they benched him mid game. I think you got to make the change because
I mean,
honestly,
he was
if
not
you
supposed
continue
to
to
be in. He got
yeah
lucky that he got hurt. The real
yeah
thing is
he
when they
got he
have
got yeah
when they
oh
have Quentin Williams, do you just say, okay, well, are we just going to try to double team him the entire game at this point? Because you know that we tried to bench this guy to make sure he wasn't in the game. So now we now I feel like we have to do something extra to help him out because we know this is a possibility. We know that he's prone to power. We've seen defensive linemen just put an arm out like this and stab him like right here or near the throat, and he just can't stay balanced. He can't. So we're gonna see reps today like, where his feet aren't even. He's got only one foot on the ground, one in the air. I can't even imagine the things that Quentin Williams might do to him. I'm sure they substitute defensive linemen and stuff like that, but on passing downs and stuff like that, I'm not sure you might see him get exposed at this point. So let's see what the plan is. Because if he
well I
gets
mean
exposed, that's kind of
he
embarrassing at this point. They should be prepared for this to happen.
yeah and he I mean he got benched and then came back in the game and then gave up three straight pressures on three plays. So he I mean it's just
I think he
he's
was
just not
honestly worst. He was worse when he came back in. I
yeah
think I think the beginning of the game was he made some mistakes, but when he came back in, it was bad.
yeah
And how do
he
you
was
let that
better he
happen?
was better in the second half I thought. Because that second quarter, when he came back after he got benched, he was awful, like absolutely awful.
Play after play
Um,
after play.
yeah, it was like consistent, I mean, getting completely mauled. And they were even saying that Kendrick Green looked pissed on the sideline. Like, you tell me I can't do better than this during that quarter.
Poor
So,
guy. Get him back in at
um,
fullback too. I don't know. It's so
yeah, I don't know why we
sad.
went away from that. Yeah. All right.
What is it,
Enough
man?
talking. Let's go ahead and get into some of this film. Oh, this actually, I was going to show this because we were talking about what teams have been the best defending the pass. So Texans currently fifth in draft pack
Yeah.
EPA, and then
Yeah.
fourth in success rate.
Oh
So
god,
you
the
see the
Jets are
Jets
second.
here. Yep. Where's their EPA though? 13. So that more than likely means they're prone to big plays, but they're good down to down is what that most likely means. So take that for what it's worth,
Yeah.
and let's go
Uh,
ahead and get into
I would say that's pass defenses that include the pressures.
yes, that should.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm really just more concerned about pressure rate. CJ can
I don't
operate.
actually think their pressure rate's all that high. Let's see. You want to go ahead and check that? Let's see.
Yeah. I'll also say
Pressure
I didn't have
rate.
a problem with the way that Shaq Mason played. I didn't have a problem with how Titus Howard played. I thought Titus
Oh,
Howard had a really good game. So I'm excited to see him go up against maybe I guess Hassan Reddick actually. Yeah. Potentially Hassan Reddick tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching this. Um,
yep.
he's really good in pass protection. He is not asked to do much
Let's go here.
in the run game though. And then Shaq Mason did okay. He only had like probably one or two pressures allowed.
I think Jack Mason's actually had a good last couple of weeks for
Yeah,
the
he
most part.
responded. It was bad the first 3 weeks, and
He is
then
so they're sixth in pressure rate
oh,
as a defense.
and look who's first.
Um, Texans. Yep. Um, and so you can kind of look at it as the EPA per pass. That's they are seventh on this one. So they kind of change. Like it just kind of I don't know how they calculate this stuff, but next gen is always kind
The
of different
Lions
than
are number three. It's
yep.
I guess they
See,
did
so
okay in
this
their
this is actually
secondary.
this is actually something that I wanted to point out that when you're talking about earlier, the Texans have faced a lot of top defenses so far. You got the Bears in second, Green Bay, Minnesota, Buffalo. Like they faced a lot of top defenses against the pass so far this year. Um, and they get Detroit next week. So
I was gonna say
they
I thought
faced
that
some
was gonna be a shootout game, but I guess they kind of have improved their secondary in
yeah, they've
Detroit.
well, so the weird part is now that they've improved the secondary, but now their pass rush got worse without Hutchinson. So it kind of, I think like I think the only who they've played since Hutchinson went down. I know they played the Titans. Did they was it 2 weeks
They played
ago?
the Titans, yeah. But they
And
played
the
the Titans
Titans are
last week.
terrible. Um But I do think their defense will just naturally like get worse when you lose Aiden Hutchinson. But also against the Texans, they could probably get 20 pressures, so it doesn't really make a difference. Um, all right, let's go ahead and get into this. So as y'all can see at the top, Jets are favored by 1.5. That's definitely gonna stir some people for sure. All
It
right.
stirred JJ Watt. JJ Watt, I was
I
talking
saw
about
that. Yeah,
that
yeah, on the
McAfee show, and he
McAfee
was like,
show. Yeah,
"What the fuck?" I mean, like,
I saw that. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm not too surprised by it personally. I think the Jets are like a weird team because they're very talented, so you never know like what's gonna happen.
that's everyone's point is like they're talented, but like they haven't won. So why is this a thing? Like they
Yeah,
haven't won a
yeah.
football game forever. Shouldn't be a thing, but
All right, so
all
I'm
right.
just sorting through pressures here. So that they got 23 pressures, or there were 23 dropbacks that they were pressured on. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, just before we go ahead and start this, I think next gen inflates pressures a lot of the time, or I don't think it's actually a pressure and they call it a pressure. Because like I saw Daniil Hunter got 12 pressures and PFF gave him 8, which he had a lot of pressures, but I don't know, like 12 is a lot of pressure. So some of these may not really be like too under pressure, but it's just what they count as pressure.
Okay, so this is
But
sorted
there,
by but so there's pressure. Yeah, I mean
see,
that's
I think
fine
this is good
because the
protection
edge
here.
got around.
Yeah, see, because like I don't really count that as a pressure, at least for me. Like I wouldn't count that as a pressure. I think that's a pretty good pocket. He had enough time, and Mixon should have caught that ball. So,
Yeah, that's the big takeaway from that play.
and then second play of the game, so
Actually, wait,
we're
no,
2 for 2 on
actually,
pressures.
actually, sorry, but on that
Yep,
play where that ball's
let's go
behind
back.
Mixon. I know. Even when I was a receiver, they said if it
He
hits your hand,
struggled.
if it
He
hits your hands,
struggled.
you're going to catch the ball.
Stroud had some bad throws early in this game. He settled down and had a really good
Yeah.
last 3 quarters, but the first quarter was kind of
Yes.
ugly for him.
Yes. He had
Um,
multiple missed passes in the first quarter, but
because
yeah, look,
you like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you can pause
Here,
it right before he throws, we look at his base, and you can see that it's just off.
yeah,
Like, look at where it needs your foot needs. You need to be aiming probably more like
yeah, yeah.
there. Yeah, because mixing, yeah, because you'll see where mixing goes, and you can play it now. A little choppy, but still,
Yeah.
where his foot was planted, that ball was always going to go behind him.
Yep.
So it's just little things like that. He might just be getting a little bit more nervous because of the pressure, really. So can affect the
Yep.
timing at times.
I will say I know he dropped the very first one, but I do like the idea of getting Mixon more involved in the pass game.
Yes.
Um,
He's a
and the
smart
first two
runner.
throws,
He can the way he cuts, it always feels like he gets an extra two. He just hasn't really had like the big jukes. Yeah,
no,
he did.
no.
He did show some contact balance and some good cutting ability against the Colts,
I
though.
think we've actually here. I was going to pause it here. I think we've actually talked about this on here, but he doesn't necessarily make guys miss. He kind of just takes really good angles,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what he
He's
does here,
taking the
right?
best route to get more
Yeah,
yards, as where other players they
because
might get a little stiff, but he's
yeah,
so flexible where he's gonna be able to go into space.
because on this play right here, he catches it. I don't know exactly where the line of scrimmage was, but at most he's gotten 2 yards here, right? And he makes it to where it ends up being a 3rd and 1 from a 2nd and 10, which is huge. That and then they put Daria and they run it for 3 yards. It makes the world of difference to be able to have him out there in the flats and not even really necessarily make this guy miss, but just kind of get hit the angle and just get the extra yards like that. That's a huge
He did.
difference.
He actually did. Well, he will
Yeah,
get
he
credited
actually,
with a missed tackle force there. That's a missed
yep.
tackle. And then, like you see here, just a ton of 12 personnel. But what they do is they'll line up that second guy as a receiver. They did
Mhm.
that all game long, just to see how the Colts match up against three receivers. They're coming in 12 personnel. Yeah, Kenny Green getting involved in the celebration.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was laughing. I saw this during the game, and I was okay. I kept laughing about it because I'm like, man, I don't know if you should be celebrating. Man, you got your ass kicked. He actually gave. I'm pretty sure he gives up a pressure here and then goes and yeah, look, he does. He lets the guy run free and then goes to go celebrate. So a little bit weird. He's got 54 here, and no, it just lets him. come in and, and is running upfield to celebrate.
Where's 54 lined up at the beginning?
Let's see. He is
Yeah, I saw him.
he's at the yeah.
That's just a bad rep. Look, I mean, I understand maybe
Let's go the other angle.
the timing aspect to this play, but look, I mean, if you can see it from here, it'll
Okay.
be a little
Yeah,
bit
so
better.
this is 54 right here.
Right. Yeah. His hands are super. My takeaway from that play where I was watching this earlier, his hands are super wide. And when your
Yeah.
hands are really just on the shoulders, on the elbows, sometimes they can just easily shrug that off and they can still get mobile. Like you saw, he's still able to, get to the left and warp around Stroud. And that's just bad hand placement. And he doesn't have much of a punch anyways either. So, and then here, this is
This is a poor decision from Stroud. This is a bad decision here.
for me,
Um,
when I see this, I feel like if you're able to hold that safety right here to get him to go over there, and then you can get
oh here, let's do it from the other angle so we can watch
yeah,
the throw. There's not much of a
yeah.
pressure there, so let's go back.
This could have been a touchdown to Schultz though. When I watched this, that's kind of how I felt about it.
That's the wrong play. I think that's the wrong play. It is. I hate when it does this. All right. Yeah, here we go. No, I want the sideline view though. All right, here we go.
See is that CJ really needs to manipulate the safety because he's just sitting in the middle the entire time. He's not moving at all. If you stare
Yep.
down Mechie,
Well, yeah, you could have.
then but that's like he's already throwing. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, the ball's already out.
yeah. The problem here is that honestly, this is a pretty good route concept for what you're getting because you have
He
these
has
two
somewhere else.
routes. Yeah, all you got to do is look one way, throw the other way, and you probably
Right.
have this
Get
because
him to
Schultz. I
put him
mean,
over here.
yeah,
Look, you got a post and a wheel over here. Yeah, stare that side down. Look at the post wheel concept. And really force or maybe even pump fake something. You have time, can step up little, and then you should Schultz is going to be able to box that guy out. He definitely has the bigger frame, and we've seen him box guys out before. So that was another little clumsy thing from CJ in the first quarter.
yep. Yeah, this is just a mistake. He kind of stares down Mechie. It looks like for like a step too long because he kind of comes. He's not necessarily staring the whole way, but he gets right here and he just never looks off. So the safety is able to read it. Honestly, he's pretty lucky that speed tipped it because this probably could have been picked by the safety if it's not. Um, but it's just a mistake, and it happens. But it was an uncharacteristically bad quarter in the first for him, and
Yeah.
obviously he bounced back. But people were mad when I was saying that he wasn't playing well, and I was just being straight up honest. He didn't have a good first quarter. Happens, but uh, I have high expectations for the guy. So if he's not playing well, I'm gonna straight up
You're
say
right.
he's not playing well.
Those are plays where it's just like you're not performing at the highest level possible. You have to be able to
And then
manipulate. You have to be
this
able to.
isn't a. I didn't
And
think
then
this was a
I
very
didn't
good
like
throw
this ball
either.
either. I felt
Yeah,
like he led this ball
yeah, you get
more
it.
in where's my pen? More in this area. And but if we go from the when I looked at it from the end zone angle, as I saw Diggs kind of go like this. So he didn't throw it into space. Diggs won that rep. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Look, he's winning that rep. You just keep going. Throw the ball
Yeah.
in there
One,
into
I mean,
space.
also,
And
I
then
know there's
also
not a lot of
yeah.
ton of time here, but yeah, I was gonna say you could hit this up here, um, if you wanted to. Again, this is another good route concept. Like this is open.
Great concept because it occupies all three levels of this area, and then one-on-one matchups for your two best route runners on the field. It's a really
Yep.
good job by Slovic there.
All right, let me get my stuff off the screen. Here we go. Okay. And then let's watch it from the other angle so we can see the pressure here.
Sure. I mean,
So,
yeah. The play was still
still getting, yeah, still getting used to this NFL pro, man. This thing is a little bit janky sometimes, unfortunately. Oh wait, it's gonna go back, isn't it? Okay, should be fine here. So you get what are they sending? Kind of blitz is coming.
Okay. Six-man pressure.
Yep. And then they kind of stunt. They stunt Juice and Kenyon, and they don't pick it up. You can watch it right here. I'll pause it. You get Latu coming inside and 96, and
Yeah,
it's not
that's
picked
really
up.
just on. Well, I mean, I mean, obviously, juice. My thing with stunts is like we said in the past, is you can't just completely turn your body. You have to be able to stay square, pass it
Yeah.
off, take it when it comes to you. When you're in that position like Juice is, turn around like that, he has no shot at getting to the other guy.
And then here we go. Let's go to the next play. 3rd and 2. I thought, oh, this was another throw that Stroud should have made.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had
Yeah.
separation. Simple as that. He actually
You know
looks
that
like he gets mad at himself after the.
Stroud does. I didn't see
I
the.
think so.
Yeah, he should have made this throw. I know Mason gets pushed backwards, but that's a throw you got to make there.
Actually, I did feel like that affected his arm
It did.
angle a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely did. But I think Stroud will tell you he needs to still make that throw still.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, I wanted to see his reaction. I didn't see it. All right, let's go on to the next one. Oh, yeah, this was a good throw. I remember this one from the game. Unless I'm thinking of a different play. Get the blitz. Oh no,
Yeah.
different play. Different play. But it's a good job. He reads the blitz, just gets it out on the slant. It's a good job.
I would like to see a little bit more empty. Maybe empty against the Jets could
Yeah,
kind of help a
yeah,
little bit. Just let Stroud be the point guard, that kind of situation.
yeah. This is actually I like you get 5 protecting against I think 6. This is actually a really good job of the offensive line to pick that up. And obviously the guy comes free,
And
but
then
you know you're going to be
you
free. And
have
then
the
he,
haunt to the
yeah,
blitz side too. That's exactly what you
great
want to do.
concept. Yeah, it's a great concept, and Stroud reads it well. So everything that's exactly what you want to do.
Even get the DB to bite and a little shake to
Because
the outside.
honestly, the Texans have been good against the blitz this year. They're just bad at like giving up 4 and 5 man pressures. Um, but when teams try to actually blitz them, like go man blitz, they're pretty good against it because Stroud's very good against the blitz.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're lucky here that nobody was home because the I don't remember who got beat on this play, but I do remember the play. Let's see.
But oof, throw it away. Here it
Look,
looks.
it looks like Juice and Kenyon.
I felt that
Oh
Kenyon
yeah,
really
yeah.
really
Why is he? I don't know why
yeah.
he's going to help Tunsil here.
I feel like he really left him early on that double
Yeah.
team there.
Well, at
Because
least like at least
the thing with
yeah.
the
Go ahead.
double team is that there needs to be inside guy and outside guy. And then let Juice get the leverage back if you're gonna leave him. But you just leave him with you allow the defender to have that outside leverage and he just easily can rip through. Juice is not going to be able to win that rep because of the way Kenyon left it. Kenyon goes at his chest and doesn't in the middle instead of going just at an angle. If both of them have an angle and they kind of come together, then Juice can reset. But no, it's just you're kind of stuck like that. And then why are you helping out Laramie Tunsil right here?
Yeah.
Why? The best pass protector in football. There is no reason to even think that you have to do that.
Well, okay. So if we're just looking matchup wise, right? So this is Latu on Tunsil and DeForest Buckner on Scruggs. So what's the idea here? Why are we going to help Tunsil when you got Buckner here? I don't understand the idea here. Like you can like this would be a good pass protection if Kenyon just stayed in the double team. There's no reason for him to leave.
Yeah,
Just stay double
I
teaming.
agree.
Tunsil's got this. Um, and this is kind of my problem with Kenyon is that it's not all just like not physically being good enough. It's like basic shit that he just doesn't do well. Like either IQ based or like not picking up stunts or bad hand placement or ducking his head. It's simple shit that he does every week. That I mean, like there's no reason for him. Like you said, he engages and then Scruggs is gonna stand like this because he's like, oh, I got the double team. And then Kenyon just leaves to go help Tunsil. And I don't even think he actually touches. He doesn't even really ever touch Lazio until the ball is already out. So there's no point. He gained nothing from going to double team.
And that's just like when you go home from a bar at 2 a.m. and you leave your drunk friend there. throwing up in a trash can. That's the best example I can really give for you there. That's exactly what Kenny Green just did.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And then I believe this next play he gets beat on the sack. So two rough
That's a
two
joke.
rough plays for Kenyon here.
I think it's probably the drive before he got benched.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's just a bad right there. I can already tell. I think it's the one of the
It
examples where he's
is.
doing
This
double
is when he
team,
got benched. Yeah, this is when he got benched.
and it's right before he got benched.
God, yeah,
Look, it's a it's just straight up rush by 54.
yeah. And granted, it wasn't just him that got beat. Like I don't want it to seem like we're just like dogging on Kenyon and acting like he's the only issue because like Mason gets completely run over. He's not the only issue. But he's the only guy on the line that consistently is getting beat, like very, very consistently getting beat with one-on-one matchups or any type of stunt or any type of anything like that. So that's the issue with Kenyon. Yep, and now you can see
That play
Jarrett
from
Patterson.
Mason a little disappointing because you're a vet. You gotta have awareness that someone might bull rush you like that. I know you're seeing the stunt on the other side, but dude, you get your head staring over here, and oh,
Yeah,
someone just hit you. Yeah, no shit, someone just ran you over. You're not looking over there. I mean, it's
yep.
simple
This
stuff
this
like
is this is actually I like this concept. The problem is
I do.
that
He
Juice
just tripped
trips on
though. Yeah, no,
yeah, he just
he
trips
just
on Mason, which
yeah.
I'm not necessarily gonna fault them for it sucks, but like that type of shit
It
happens.
happens. Yeah, just
Yeah.
it happens.
But I like, this is good pass protection here. Good job by Patterson. You get the chip from Mixon, you get the double team here. This is a very good it's a very good like pass protection to wrap outside of him tripping. Um and honestly, you get the chip from Stover here too. And then Juice ideally if Juice doesn't fall, he has that. And then you're able to manipulate this linebacker because he sees Stover come out, he goes to pick up Stover, then you hit Schultz. That's a good play. I know Stroud gets hit and there's pressure there, but this is a good rep because the only reason that he gets hit is because Juice just trips and he has to step up. So it sucks, but that's something that's easily correctable. Just don't trip on the right guard's foot. So that I'm okay with that type of rep. If that's the type of pressure that we're gonna go, I'm cool with that. And then this
We still
one,
got Patterson,
this
and
is this is a
that's screenplay. It's a design
yeah.
screen.
I think honestly though, when I watch it, I think the design is to try to get Schultz up the field. I think it's supposed to be a fake screen to Diggs and to get Schultz on this because at least that's my
But that was
opinion.
a blitz, so it didn't. Okay,
Yeah, so you just have to
never got
get it
to
out. But
work.
I think they're trying to get Schultz upfield. But when you blitz from that side, you kind of just got to get it out. But again, I like the play. I like the idea here. You fake the screen like that, you get Schultz going upfield. But you get blitz and you're able to pick up whatever 3 yards. Like it works. I have no issue with that. Um, Only thing is, Schultz could probably make it more convincing that he's trying to block. He kind of just runs upfield. But okay, this was a play that I did. I wanted to highlight this because this was very very nice to see from Patterson and Juice in the middle. I actually posted this, I think. But watch this. They run a stunt at Juice and Patterson here, and they actually pick it up. It got
Yeah.
picked up.
I mean, look how simple Patterson makes it. You see he's aware, you see his active hands, you see his base is still nice and fluid and controlled, open
Yep.
there. It's very nice. It's very fluid. You don't see that when Kenny Green's in the game. You see Dare helping out too.
Because look, the difference here is they stay square enough
Yeah.
to be able to Patterson's a little bit angled, right? But you got Juice here, and then Dare is able to help. It's not that hard. This is what we've been talking about, right? You got a 4-man rush against 6 protecting. But these are the things that the Texans have
Yeah.
struggled with. I
You
mean,
got an
like again,
outside,
yep,
inside, and another outside. That's a great way to defend a stunt so that you can't even have a pass rush move attack you because you have all angles blocked and it's perfect.
yep. And then Mason, like you said, I think on the last play, he was looking around too much, but I actually think on a lot of plays, he does a really good job of just trying to look for like where he should help, where the work is. I think
Fair,
he's
yeah.
actually probably the best on the team at doing it. And so he's seeing here, if they need help here, he could come in here. get a little like get a body on him, or you could go outside help Titus out, right? Because you have it picked up, and honestly, he probably goes and helps, but Dore completely knocks Bucker on his ass.
Exactly.
So, so it and I this is kind of what I was talking about when they inflate pressures. This is not a pressure. I don't think this should be considered a
I was
pressure.
about to ask, how do we get this play up here? But no, I'm glad we did.
Yeah, because I was gonna go to this no matter what. So I didn't know if they would counter it as a pressure because it was something that I highlighted, I saw during the game, and I actually like tweeted about it during the game, and then I went back to watch because I've started to kind of watch the offensive line more now that I'm like, why are we not doing basic shit well? So when I see this type of stuff when Patterson comes in, like you said, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult to do. Obviously, it's easy for me to sit here on my ass and say, but you see offensive linemen do it all the time. Like it's not that hard to
Right,
pick up
because
a
no other
stunt. You're
team
an
has
NFL,
this
yeah.
problem. So
So you see Patterson, and I think Patterson's just a smarter offensive lineman too. It's not just the technique; he's just a smarter offensive lineman. He finds stuff. What like the last play where we saw Kenyon where he goes to help Tunsil, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. I mean, like it's not like he got beat. It was just a dumb play. And maybe they're being coached to do that, but I kind of find it hard to believe they're being coached to do that when Kenyon's the only guy that consistently does it. So um, I was excited to see Patterson come in, but it sucks he got hurt. Obviously, hopefully he comes back and he plays because that's my hope. I think he's the best left guard on this team. And then let's see, we got another pressure here. See, I don't really know if this is a pressure. I think like he Tunsil does kind of get
yeah,
beat
no,
off the edge a little bit, but um, again, this is pretty good pass protection, all things considered. You get four
it's
against
more of like
five.
a late step up from
Yeah,
Stroud is why it could be considered a pressure, I guess.
but again, if these are the type of pressures the Texans are going to allow, then like that's fine. The problem is that they've been letting guys go free, and so like Tunsil does get beat a little bit here. But again, you got four with five protecting, right? So they slide here, and then you get and it's good protection from everybody except really Tunsil. Tunsil does kind of get beat here a little bit, but this is kind of one where PFF doesn't count it as a pressure and next gen does because I know for a fact that Tunsil didn't give up a pressure on PFF. So it's kind of just one of those where it's like it just kind of depends on how you feel about it, I guess. But like I said, if these are the type of pressures the Texans are going to allow, then I have no problem with that. Like
Look at
you're
that!
going to give up some
Look at
pressures.
that hand counter by Titus Howard at the end there. He's looking strong. He's looking fluid. He's got the
Titus
hand. He's
has
looking
been
good.
very consistent the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I was a little bit critical of him the first two, but the last couple of weeks he's been very, very solid. And again, you get Shaq Mason over here. He doesn't have anybody block, so he goes and helps. Again,
Yeah,
it's not that.
didn't Titus Howard make a change on something the last couple weeks? Yeah. Oh, he deleted his
Yeah,
social media. Okay.
yeah, deleted
It's
Twitter.
the
Yeah,
little things that matter. Sometimes that's all you
yep.
got.
Well, and look at Patterson here, right? We
No
talk about it.
troubles whatsoever.
Yeah, we talk about it where Kenyon has trouble when you get your hand up there.
Oh
Man,
yeah, look at
he's
the
taking it.
balance.
He's taking it like a champ, man. He's got
It's
good hand.
right at
He's
his
got his
neck.
plant. Yep. So Juice kind of gets beat here, but it's so late in the play, it doesn't really matter. But it's nice to see when Jarrett Patterson came in that the offensive line played a lot cleaner. It wasn't 100% clean, but you could notice a difference. It was noticeable between Patterson and Kenyon, and that's kind of why when people try to blame it on a lot of people, I think you could blame it on the group as a whole. But if you're going to blame it on one guy, it's Kenyon. He's the biggest problem on the team, easily. So I kind of hate where like I'll go in group chats and I see them talk about like, oh, but now they're just going to blame Juice, and I'm like, Juice is playing well before Kenyon went to shit, and when Jarrett Patterson comes in, he plays well again. It's almost impossible to play like the pressure that he gave up to Buckner on that one. It's going to go against him. It's not his fault. Kenyon's there to double team and then just leaves him. So it's like sucks, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I don't know. I really hope that Patterson will be the guy back in
I
on
do too.
Sunday,
I do
but
too.
God, I don't know.
Yeah, I do
Sometimes the
too.
Texans just do interesting things. They do the conservative thing. They don't like to make statements sometimes. I don't know.
Yep. And then you get Kenyon back in on this drive.
Boy, here we go. Here he's gonna get help. I don't know why the hell Shaq Mason completely whiffs.
Yeah.
Actually, this time around, can't happen. Inexplicable by Shaq Mason.
Yeah, he's got to make this
Can't
play.
miss that. Because he might be expecting help and then you get fucked over like that. It's not fair.
Yeah. But
I mean,
and so the
Look at that. Tunsil pushes the guy in a bad spot for Kenyon, and then Mason whiffs. I mean, that time you just gotta kind of feel bad at that point.
yeah, I mean, and this is set up here where like you said, Mason
Look
should
at
be
that.
able to help.
Just
Yeah,
hit him
this is
right
not
here.
really on Kenyon here. You can't really blame Kenyon
And
for this.
let's see what Mason does with this opportunity. Ducks his head and puts his hand up like a dog wanting a belly rub. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that's bad. And hopefully
Yeah,
he would
that's
say the same thing.
I think he would. I will say I think well Mason, oh man, this one was so brutal. It's wide open.
Look,
Um
that's pretty good. He's rattled.
yeah. Well, this is a stunt, but it's just not passed off like whatsoever. They just completely take they just like hope for the best pretty much. Like Tunsil goes completely inside. And then
I think
Canyon's
because it
just
was a little bit
chasing.
late, because it was a little bit late, they may have just interpreted it as a pass rush move. But,
Yeah.
when the defensive linemen, they know what they're going to do and offensive line doesn't know what they're going to do, it just kind of gives the advantage to the defensive line there a little bit.
This one's kind of just tough because I do think there's enough time there to where like Stroud should make this throw. Well, like there's no reason he shouldn't make this throw. I know he's under pressure, but that's the throw he should make. I'm not necessarily going to get mad at the offensive line for that one because they did. At least it's a late stunt. That's a weird one to pick up. And then this one,
This one, I did not think he should have scrambled, actually.
okay, which angle do you want it so you could
That's good. Yeah, end zone's
this
good.
one? Okay.
I think that he saw the blitz and thought the blitz was going to get through, but it actually looks like it
Yeah, it
didn't
didn't.
get through. I think they actually picked it up because Kenyon pushes him out here. You should also be able to. I know it looks like there's pressure, but I think because he rolls out here, it looks like that. I think if you just hitch there, you're fine. This area is totally fine. And
Yeah.
that's just and he's probably gonna be able to chip him a little bit if he has to. I don't think Stroud needed to roll out here, but look, when so much pressure is getting through and you even think it's possible of coming, that's just what happens in the NFL. When you're a quarterback, that's just yeah.
That's a really good job by Dari, actually. He completely knocked Buckner off of his like route. He spun him around. Like he tried.
Gotta
He
go
kind of gets
low.
knocked down, but yeah, he spun him. Um, actually, yeah, not a bad blitz pickup there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, maybe the route concepts might have needed time, and he knew
Yeah,
that he didn't have enough time to hitch and make a play, make a pass. And then
yeah. See,
here,
Tank's
I
also open here.
don't think it's a yes, Tank. Yeah, Tank. Aqua it's a really good route by Tank. If we can look at it, or there was
Yeah,
another
all that middle of the
better
field. Yeah.
route. He had some really good routes. It's Colts. He had good leverage there
See,
though, and
like again, that's not a pressure.
it's not.
Like
Yeah,
that
I was
is
gonna say
not
it's
a
not
pressure.
pressure. No,
Yeah, like that's not, this is. I actually I made this argument yesterday with people that like next gen stats inflates pressures. This is a perfect example of that's not a
yeah.
pressure. That is not a pressure. That is a clean pocket. Let's go to this one. Oh
Free
man.
rusher. Yeah, it looks like you're gonna get a free rusher. Let's go to the end zone view. Obviously, you have Tank open, but no way. One, two, three, four, five, six. Oh,
Let's
no.
see.
Here, no. 6 on 6, actually.
Yeah, the right side just
Let's try to figure out the matchups.
so okay. What the
Yeah,
problem here is that Shaq takes
he's
the
not blocking
wrong
anyone.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not blocking
Shaq
anyone.
takes the wrong guy. Shaq should
I
have
was
taken
confused too. I
54.
definitely thought it should have been like that. And then Juice is like, "Wait, dude, what are you doing?" It's probably what he's thinking. Like, "Whoa, yeah, that's my guy. Don't block him."
Yeah, and then they all kind of end up running into each other, which makes Shaq and Titus fall down. So the problem here is that let me go ahead and get this. So 99 Buckner should be taken by Juice. Then you get I forget how the hell you say his name, but this guy should be there, and then you get Titus on the linebacker. But Mason ends up taking the inside guy, which leaves Juice really not being able to block anybody. I think he probably comes in here tries to block him, but at this point, doesn't really matter. Uh, it's just a poorly
Just
executed. Yeah, he tries to get in there. He actually ends up knocking Mason over. It looks like.
whoa, Titus took someone out there. Oh yeah, Titus tried to take out two guys at once on this play. It was pretty cool. He turns his back around and tries to like
Oh yeah, he actually
become a
did.
brick
Yeah, he
wall,
actually
right?
took him out.
And it
Yeah,
actually kind of worked. I thought that was pretty cool. So
that
I
actually is
remember
funny.
that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
actually is funny. Like I think I've talked about it. Like I can appreciate like I don't think Titus is a great run blocker. There's definitely drawbacks to his game, but he's been consistent for this team, man. He's been pretty good. Like he gets kind of drawn into this like whole false start thing with Tunsil and the penalties, but like he's only had one penalty all year. He's pretty consistent. Like I know what I'm
I mean,
getting from Titus.
yeah. I think he's a good
He's
pass
a
blocker. He was a
Yeah,
good run blocker.
exactly.
He was a good run blocker, but he's not really asked to do much as a run blocker
Yeah.
anymore, so that's okay.
Like I think like for at least for me, when you look at him, he's an above average pass blocker and
Yeah.
he's an average to below average run blocker. That's kind of where you're at with him right now. And like you said, he's not asked to do a lot in the run game, so it's kind of hard to judge, but he's pretty average or a little bit below average. For a right tackle, he's probably average, but as a tackle as a whole, he's probably below average. But I hate when people go to like they'll be like, oh, he's a top five or top six paid right tackle. And I'm like, you can't name six right tackle or seven right tackles that are better than him. Like you look at you look at like PFF grades or you just watch the film. Like he's pretty much the sixth or seventh best right tackle. PFF has him, I think, seventh.
Well, there
Like
you
the
go.
film, he's been very good the last couple of weeks. Like he is a good player. Um, and I feel like people kind of dog on him for no real reason. Um, I mean, if you want to dog on anybody on that right side, you should dog on Mason more than you dog on him. Mason's been worse, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't seen anything bad from Titus in weeks. I feel like it's been
yeah.
weeks.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I feel pretty good about the tackles for the most part. Like, the tackles are doing their job. Tunsil has the penalty problems, obviously, but he's been better lately. I know he had one false start, but he's been better with the penalties the last like 4 or 5 weeks. And Titus has been pretty consistent. He's been the most consistent guy on the Texans offensive line, all things considered. Um, so I feel like people need to lay off him a little bit. He's not. I don't think he's overpaid. I don't think. And actually, I was thinking about this the other day. It kind of makes me a little bit confused why they took Blake Fisher. And I get the swing tackle idea, but do you see who you have at guard? Like you couldn't take a guy with some versatility that could play inside, right? Like that's just kind of what I'm thinking here.
Yeah,
And
Fisher's 21 years old. I mean,
yeah, I think he's
that's a
going to
lot of
play in the
value.
future. But my question is, where is he going to play in the future? Because I think Titus is playing well, and I think Tunsil's playing well. So where are you going to play him? And I'm not going to say move him to guard because I hate when people do that. Don't move the dude to guard. He's a tackle. And they've done it with Titus. Don't do that shit, man. Play him. He's a tackle. Don't move him inside. But I'm kind of just starting to question where he's going to play because if Titus is playing like a top seven right tackle and he's not overpaid, why would you move on from him? So I guess we'll
Yeah.
see.
I think they may have thought they might have to move Titus to guard too,
God, I
possibly.
swear to God, if they do that shit again, man, they better not do that.
Maybe
that
later, maybe like in like 3 years.
Oh
Just to
yeah,
like
I'm okay with that. But I've
yeah,
seen people now try to say like, okay, let's move Titus to guard and put Fisher at
I
tackle.
saw that. Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hell no. Hell no.
Not,
Like
not
Blake Fisher's not even a very good tackle right now. He can be good in the future, but he's not a very good tackle right
it just
now.
looks
So I don't know
bad.
why people like they'd be much better off with Patterson at left guard than that.
Yeah.
So and I don't know why people are like trying to move Titus when he's maybe been the best guy on the offensive line.
This should die down soon.
Yeah, it
Winning
probably
cures
will.
all.
Another stunt.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what goes wrong here. Let's see. So you get
Yeah, you're gonna get a stunt, and then Kenyon engages. Okay. I mean, that's what how long has he had the ball for already? Quite a while.
yeah, yeah, he held on to this one for too long, I think. Um
In field goal range too. That's really the problem there.
yeah, this was a bad sack. Yeah, I remember this play now that you bring that up. This was a horrible sack. You have to get rid of this ball.
Yeah. Texans
Um
should have like at least 30, points, 30, 33. So
yeah, no, they
just
should
good
have
day
more
for the
points.
offense
This
overall.
this this was an unbelievable throw.
And that's what I was talking about. Like, Kennan's getting stabbed right in the
Man,
throat.
I haven't watched a lot of
And I really like the route. He's gonna make you
yeah.
feel like he's going inside, but then he just glides, glides around. To be able to do that is pretty special. And that's he's a smaller guy, and he doesn't get his hands. He doesn't get hands on him because he's that good of a route runner.
Yeah. And
He controls the tempo there with that route.
I haven't watched a ton of. A lot of times will actually wait to watch all 22 until when we watch. So I won't watch it like I'll watch some plays, but I kind of wait. I know you watch it before. I usually wait and just watch it on here. We can get like live reactions. But I will say Tank was open a lot this game, and that makes me feel good about going into next
Oh
week with
yeah.
him. I didn't know how to feel about it because I did think there were some games where he just wasn't getting open a lot, or there was some miscommunications between him and Stroud. There was just some, he didn't look like he did last year. But these last couple weeks, like I said, I thought he played really well against New England. I thought he was good against Buffalo. I thought he played a good game there. He just hasn't gotten a lot of targets. And that's expected when you have the two receivers that they had, right? Now he's the top guy. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's getting open. And especially if the Jets are going to play a lot of man, like we've talked about. A lot of these looks that he's getting open against are man. Not a lot of zone looks. He's just beating guys one on one. And and I think he could beat, I think DJ Reed and Sauce are good corners, but I do think one on one, I think Tank could route him up a couple times. Um,
Man, it'll be fun to
and
watch. I mean,
for
I'm
sure.
confident, but also because Sauce has that length, we'll see how that goes. DJ Reed has been productive, but I mean, you're right. Like, he just looks really good on tape, and I think that, they're getting a lot of too high safety looks. I think that was more so why Tank's production dropped. There's a
Exactly what
lot
I
of
said.
checkdowns, a lot of checkdowns. I really don't think anything was wrong with Tank, honestly.
That's pretty much
It
what I
would
was
have been
telling
nice
people. Yeah.
if he caught the touchdown last week. Obviously that would have been great. He didn't catch the touchdown. I get that. It's fine. That's
Yeah.
just one little thing to nitpick. But he's been open all year, in my opinion. It's just a product of the Texans' offense, how they're operating with the offensive line, and what they're getting from defenses, really.
And I do think people did this for the Packers game too, where it's kind of like what guys get hurt and people are like immediately like, let's go we have to make a trade right now. And it's like I don't think if the Texans lose to the Jets, it's the end of the world. It would be a bad loss. Like the Jets aren't a great football team, but when you really think about it, they have a ton of talent, and you know, it wouldn't
They're
be
the
the end of the
laughing
world. They
stock of the
had
league right now, so it's a
Yeah,
little
it would be a bad
awkward.
loss. It would be a bad loss. But they lost to the Panthers last year, right? Like it's a different team, and I fully understand that. But I do think that people kind of get overreactive when it comes to like losing games in the regular season now because they had to beat the Colts. That was the big game for the next like I don't know, the next
Colts
couple
get.
weeks.
I'm not
Like
sure the Colts are going to win a game for like 4 weeks based on
yeah,
their
the
schedule.
Texans broke them. I mean, completely just broke them, right? Like, I mean, we could talk about that with the Richardson news. The fact that people are going to defend Richardson's performance is kind of embarrassing. He was brutal, like he was really bad. Um, but also like what they're doing doesn't make a lot of sense because they knew he was not going to be good. So I don't know what the hell they expected to happen. But
Want
the
to
Texans have,
win, but they didn't realize that they had to develop them by playing
yeah,
him. And like,
they
oh
should.
well, we're not.
I said this last year. He never should have started from day one. That was a mistake that they made. Um,
They
it should
had
have been
Minshew
Minshew.
too. Like they literally
Yeah, it
had
should have been
the
Minshew.
bridge quarterback.
So I don't know. They've messed up developing him, but now that we talk about it, it's funny because they're completely broken. That whole organization is like falling apart now. And because of this game. So this is what I'm talking about. The Texans kind of now, I would assume, have the division on lock. I don't see any other team making a run at this division anymore. So you're kind of now, let's just see what you got this week, man. Obviously, I hope we win. But let's see what these receivers have. Let's see what this offensive line has. Let's see what the tight ends have. Let's see what the groups that are going to play have. I know Aziz and Jimmy Ward aren't playing. Let's see another week from Eric Murray. Let's see another good Kamari Lassiter week. Let's see this stuff, man. Like, this is an interesting game because you're going to see a lot of guys, like you said, John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson have a huge opportunity this week to go make a point. Because if not, I do think we will make a trade for a receiver, whether it's Kendrick Bourne or whether it's a bum or it's like Jacoby Myers, Darius Slayton. I don't know, but they have their shot to just like tell Casario, like, you don't have to trade for a receiver, dude. We're good at receiver. Like, this is your opportunity this week. So it's definitely an interesting
Yeah, that's
game.
why you didn't see anything this week.
Yeah.
They could because they knew Diggs was gonna be out. They just didn't know for how long he was gonna
Uh-huh.
be out. So they're obviously waiting or not gonna do anything at all. I lean on the side that they won't do anything at all regardless, because the Jets have a good defense and a good secondary anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see how it looks. If it looks bad, then sure. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I would be a good proponent of adding a receiver with a different skill set that they don't have. That's
Yep.
fair. But performance based, I don't know if that's really relative. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, what's interesting about the Texans, if you look at their receiver group, you can kind of make the argument that like any of the guys can play anywhere. And so that's what's kind of fun about it. Like they could, at least to me, they could add kind of any receiver and it would probably be able to fit because like Nico could play slaughter outside. So could Tank. Um, it's an interesting combo. Like if they do want to add another receiver, I wouldn't be shocked, but I also don't necessarily know if you need another receiver. I do think I would like to have Noah Brown. I like Noah Brown, but they still have a good receiver room. Like I, I think if you just look at it on paper, still you take Diggs out of the receiver room and you put that on paper, it's still like a top five receiver group in the league. When Nico comes back, obviously, but it, it's not like a bad receiver room whatsoever. The problem has been the offensive line. Guys are open, so just kind of where it's at right now. All right. I don't want to make this too long. Do you have any other like place you want to go through? Because there's only a couple more pressures here that we could watch.
No, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Did
Oh,
we cut?
actually, this is a pressure, but let's just watch this throw because this is a
Yeah, yeah,
absolute
that's
dime.
kind of what I
We
was
can watch
thinking.
the one to Hutchinson too, since we've been talking about the receivers because he made that one really nice
Yeah.
catch too.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Good catch, great throw. That's not an easy catch to make for Mechie either. You got to stretch out for it. It's a good play.
I thought it was just really good. It was like a good connection between the two. Like
Yeah.
the space Messi went to was perfect. The place where Stroud placed the ball was perfect. And so I think that's why it's exciting. They have chemistry. They're apparently like best friends off the field. So it'll be cool to see what they could possibly do. Always,
Yep.
I'll keep saying I really don't know what quarterback is making the throws that CJ Stroud is making right now. I mean, Mahomes does magical stuff at times, sure. I mean, but Josh Allen and Lamar have good stats and their team wins games, but I haven't seen anything like crazy ball placement wise. Um,
No.
really, no. So very, very blessed to get to see this every week. And then here, good. I like the ball placement because it was friendly.
Yeah.
And you got the safety there, and also good job by Hutchinson to go out first to get that safety to move away from the middle of the field, and then to kind of get through the contact there. Take a
Why
good
this thing won't go
angle.
away? Let's see.
Yeah,
There we go. It should go away
you
now.
can
There we
see
go.
that Hutchinson has speed. Like if you watch Robert Woods run that route, you probably see a little bit more sluggish movement. But I mean, Hutchinson has some speed to him. Just not like a
Yeah.
direct route runner, really.
He kind of gets held at the top of that route, if you
Yeah,
wanted the truth. Because I was
they
gonna
don't
say
call
the
that all
one
the
thing,
time.
yeah, no, they don't call that. But um I will say the one thing that you probably could ask is like he kind of slows up when he comes out of his break. Um a little
Which
bit,
could have,
and maybe
limited the
because he's being
rack.
held. Yeah, but he kind of
Oh,
slows up, which
yeah, right
obviously you
there at
want
the
him,
top.
yeah,
No, no,
run.
it's not when he was held. It was after, really,
Yeah,
when
it's
he
after. Yeah, he kind of just slows up. It's like he doesn't think he's getting the ball or Stroud's been hit or sacked. Because honestly, he probably shouldn't have to die for the ball if he just runs through it. Um,
he comes straight down the line and catch that in stride,
yeah,
go upfield. He might be able to outrun 32 because 32 already had to flip his hips. Um,
yeah, still a good catch. Like I'm not
Still
taking
a
away
catch.
anything from the guy, but it's just one thing that you watch in film when you telling him you want him to run through the route more so than slowing up like that because he
Yep.
actually gets good separation, but he kind of slows up, which makes it a tougher catch than it has to be. Um, but still, an impressive play. He made an impressive catch last week. He's got a chance, man. He's got a chance to go out and prove himself.
But
It's a good secondary.
we'll see a lot of Robert Woods for sure. But
Yeah.
hope they get their time or chance to shine. Just not really sure what that looks like because of how they. We'll see how the Texans want the game to go.
Yep. I assume a lot of mixed and carries. You know, he's been running the ball well, so why would you go away from it? Um, but you're gonna have to throw the ball at some point. You're gonna have to throw the ball. So these guys are gonna have to get involved. Like I said, Tank's been open, so definitely try to get him the ball a lot. I'm sure we'll see a good amount of Schultz targets. Um, should be an interesting one. A lot of Stover. I'm guessing a lot of Stover too. So,
Yes, and
um,
there was a ton of Stover last or against the Colts.
yep,
Like I said, they're gonna line him up receiver, motion him in, use him as the motion man on jet motion. He's gonna block. He's gonna go into the flats. Yeah, that's why I
yep,
miss Brevin Jordan, but he's gonna kind of fill in that role, and you're gonna see a ton of 12 personnel. That's just how it's gonna go. And then hopefully they kind of rotate in Woods, Hutchinson, Mechie, all that good stuff. Tank Dell's gonna be in there a lot too. Of course, Hutchinson probably a better blocker than Tank Dell, so you might see Woods and Hutchinson on the field sometimes. But you don't want to get too predictable, of course.
yep.
So you just need to kind of balance that out a little bit.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I was gonna say you might see some Kendrick at fullback, but you probably won't because he's now the backup left guard. He may actually play, so you probably won't see that. But if it would maybe some Teagan fullback, something like that. I'm sure we'll see some fullback in this game, or more than we have. There's been some Stover, but I'm sure you'll see a lot more of condensed formations and stuff like that because their receiver depth is kind of get taking a hit. So you got to go out and try something else. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go one offensive, one defensive player to highlight this week. You want to start? You want to start us
Oh,
off?
sure. Kenyon Green, obviously, I
Oh
think he's going
boy.
to be the player to watch because he's on a very short leash. He was on a short leash last
Yeah.
week. I just really interested to see what the game plan is. Will they double team Quentin Williams to Kenyon Green's side, stuff like that? Because as we saw, a lot of it was on Kenyon, and if Kenyon did make that mistakes, I just feel like the plays would be a lot more fluid. And then on defense, hmm. I mean, that's tough because everyone just kind of played like so well and fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, against the Colts. I'll go Will Anderson. Yeah, he's still up there in sacks, up there in
Yep.
Defensive Player of the Year odds. I enjoy watching him, and he's a game breaker against the run and the pass. So, looking forward to see what he can do, and he can always cause havoc.
All right, let me start off. I'll go offensively. I'm gonna be simple. I'm gonna go Joe Mixon. Gonna get a lot of carries. Getting touch the ball, and he'll probably catch the ball out of the backfield a lot too. Considering in this game, like I said, you're down receivers. He's been very efficient, which honestly, in his whole Cincinnati career, he was never very efficient. This is easily his most efficient season, which is kind of crazy. But he's been very efficient. Like you said, he'll lose some yards sometimes, but makes up for it with these 8, 9 yard runs pretty consistently. Um, and then defensively, I'm gonna go. Let's see. There's some interesting names. I want to see Danico Autry make some plays because he's been in there.
Yeah,
He's been in there a
the
little bit.
one.
They're kind of slowly working him in, and so I'm not really like disappointed with how he's played or anything like that. But I do want to see him play well because they're playing him some on the inside. He's playing some on the outside. He's a very versatile guy, and so it would be nice to see him make some plays because the interior has honestly been really good. I posted this the other day, but Tim Settle is like top 10 in every defensive tackle statistic. even pass rush run rate and all that stuff. So
Crazy.
that's pretty insane.
Crazy. Love
It's
it.
pretty crazy, but the defensive line has been probably the best in football. So if Danico Autry can get going, which I believe he will, I think it's just a matter of time. But it's the Jets' offensive line, and they're down a lot of guys, and so it's a pretty weak group. So it could be a good week for Danico Autry, especially on a short week and stuff like that. I'm sure you'll see more rotations, and so he'll be out there at the edge, and he'll be out there inside. He'll be out there. I mean, he's easily the
He
most
should be
versatile
fresh.
guy.
He's
Yeah,
versatile and he's
exactly.
fresh. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's going to make an impact. It's just whether or not, or it's just when. With him, I think it's just when he's got to work himself into the game flow, obviously. But honestly, I'm glad that he's saving it, that he kind of got these weeks off early in the season when the Texans were like whatever went like 5-1 without him, because now he's fresher for the late stretch of the season. And then you get Mario Edwards, who's going to come back. I think maybe 1, 2 more weeks. He comes back and he's going to be
Can't wait for that
fresh.
pass rush. Yeah,
Yeah,
can't
so
wait.
it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting, and hopefully Christian Harris at some point comes back. Um,
Good
at
luck.
this point, I'm a little
Let's see.
bit. I'm
Yeah.
hoping. I'm hoping, but
Not
I
really
don't
sure he
know.
was actually ever gonna come back, but yeah, we'll see.
Hold out hope still. Um, all right, Drew. Anything you want to add before we end this one?
That's it. Let's see how the offense looks. The defense has been pretty damn good all year,
Yeah.
so that's the offense has sadly been the question mark.
Yep. I mean, outside of the, I want to say the Minnesota game's the only game where the defense was kind of getting gashed a little bit, and even that game wasn't their fault. But they've been very consistent all year. So especially against the pass, like we've talked about, defense are kind of middle, or run defense are kind of middle of the pack. But I will say they're a weird run defense because they get a lot of tackles for loss, but then they also give up some big runs. So they're kind of like splashy in their run game, but they're a good run defense and they're a good defense. So it's all that matters at the end of the day. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. I did this one. This one kind of comes out at a weird time. It'll probably like be right before the game when this thing releases. So make sure y'all enjoy the game. Hopefully y'all hammer Texans, what, plus 1.5, maybe win some money.
Landed on it, yeah.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.